as Governor Okowa has submitted. Other issues I believe we'll be able to address as we speak along. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Yes, we will take a few questions now. Okay, Shion.
Thank you so much. My name is Sean Kimaloye. I'm a reporter with Channels TV. You've laid out your grievance about the process, but we are in the middle of that process. We would like to know, just like Nigerians are watching right now, what would be your 1, 2, 3 submission or suggestion on how to go? Earlier on, there were suggestions as to the INEC chairman stepping aside. But when that happens, what is the process of bringing about a new person into office? There are other offices that have been won by your party and the PDP. What happens to those offices? You're asking for an outright cancellation, and it does look to me that you're asking for a transitional process between what has become an unacceptable conduct by INEC from your point. If you can lucidly tell us, what are the 1, 2, 3 steps you think the nation can look forward to in getting out of what you have described as a sham of a conduct? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, Sharon. What is right is right. What is wrong is wrong. This country, last year, we were so excited. Everybody, the old, the young, and everybody was very excited about the Electoral Act. And I'm also happy to say that the chairman of INEC was also very excited about that Electoral Act, because we know that at a point in time, during the debates, we were unlikely to have the Electoral Act and to have it into law. But eventually, the bill was passed and it was assented to. And we thank President Muhammad Buhari for that. And it's very clear, you cannot breach the law. So when you're talking about how do we go, for me, a lot of calls can be made. But truly at this point in time, it's clearly stated in that Electoral Act what must be done. And shall is mandatory. All election results must be transmitted at the polling unit level. And that is the basis, is those results from the over 176,000 units that we can use through the process of collation. So if you have not transmitted those results, it means that you have actually not conducted the election under the very law that we all applauded. So the right thing to do is for the INEC chairman to try to go forth and cancel the elections. Unfortunately, he is not come out to tell the world what has happened, why the results were not uploaded. There is a question mark there. He should be truthful. As I said, Section 26, he had taken an oath to be neutral and impartial. Therefore, he must speak to Nigerians and tell Nigerians the truth. And the truth is, they could not upload the results. What happened in INEC? Why was it that they could not upload the results? So something is wrong. Something is wrong inside INEC. Either they have connived or their system is down. But they must tell us the truth. If the system was down and they knew it was down, they ought to have postponed the elections. If the system was not down and they did not allow the upload of the results from the units, it means that they have connived and they are no longer neutral and impartial. So under this condition, there is no moral justification for further collation of the results, because it is so expressly stated in that section, the section 64 at 4, and that is 64.4 at A and B. So clearly stated that if the polling unit results are not transmitted, it means truly that there is nothing to compare. So you cannot raise the hope of Nigerians And I'm sure that we've seen that video where he spoke to Nigerians because he was under challenge in November. And he spoke to Nigerians very clearly. And we're aware that he was under pressure at some point in time not to transmit results. And the civil society and everybody gave voice to him to enable him to stand firm. And now, just on election day, they could not upload results. Something is fundamentally wrong. That means from the beginning, they had already planned the process to fail. But unfortunately for them, they have gone against the very act under which we're supposed to go on with the elections. So if you have failed to go by the law, and that law says it didn't say may, it says shall. It's a mandatory provision, so he knows that the only way out is to cancel it. You cannot say, let me proceed and conclude, then I'll review. Who is reviewing who? He's the chief returning officer. He has the right to take the decisions at this moment. You cannot go back, do something glaringly wrong, and you go back and want to review yourself. It does not make sense. It does not make sense. Nigerians are no fools. We are not fools. So he should do what is right. And that is the only thing that is actually right. So it's not even a question of calling for somebody else. Let him, he knows. He fought for this. He fought for it. The National Assembly gave it to him. President Muhammad Buhari assented to that bill, making it an act of the Federation. And now he that asked for it wants to breach the same law. It's very unfortunate that such things can happen in this country. Obviously not. So it's not a question of, oh, what happens to the offices. We are talking about the legality of what has been done. What has been done is based purely on illegality. It has breached our laws. You don't have to wait because he knows. The law didn't come on him. It was not forced on him by a National Assembly. He was actually the champion, supported by civil society. But now he's the one breaching the very law that he fought for. It's a very unfortunate circumstance. In a civilized place, this ought not to be. If he knows that he cannot keep to that which he asked for, he should honestly on his own step aside. That's what we expect. Otherwise, he has to do the right thing. And that actually is the process. So there's no question of a transitional process. If their portal is down and they could not upload, and therefore they cannot compare results, and they know they breach the Constitution, the only honest thing to do is cancel the results and then call for another election day. I know that some people ask, what about the cost? There's no cost to democracy. Whatever is right is right. If this country has to source for money in order to go forth, to give Nigerians a credible election so that we can give hope to our country that there's a future for this nation, we have to go on, even if it involves us borrowing money from any source. Democracy, that's a foundation. As long as that is broken and there's trust deficits in this nation, we will not be able to move forward as a nation.
In courts of law, you would have seen procedures where characters were being formed. So, ladies and gentlemen, the character of this government is that they have been making promises they have no idea about, or they had no idea about. You wouldn't know this until when it comes to the time of delivery. This is not political, this is not campaign. We were promised better security, better economy, and a fight to corruption, none of which we saw. We thought, okay, look, maybe a new government will do it. And then they say, okay, the last thing is that we now promise you credible elections. It was going to be Buhari's saving grace, even at the United Nations General Assembly. That was the only thing he could say after failing in all the promises. Now, I'm glad that a gentleman this morning presented incontrovertible evidence to really, really form the character of this government. They have no idea of the promises they are making. When INEC chairman in November was speaking about how credible and how BVAS was going to work, they didn't even possibly know what beavers was. They didn't know. This is their character. They make promises about what they have no idea about. Were they in a hurry to spend the money? Was it just about issuing contracts? Who was behind the contracts? Who supplied it? How much do they make? Who and who did they share with? More questions I can raise, but this is not the time for it. We want a credible elections in Nigeria. I'm only trying to tell you the character of this government whom our fate is in their hands today. But a more specific answer to you, Seun, is that the Constitution provides a range. If I can remember correctly, it's 90 days, not more than 90 days, not less than 30 days to the swearing in of the new administration. This is instructive to us because it has taken cognizance of the fact that there can be bad elections, there can be cancellations, and then you repeat. What we're asking for is not too much, it's practical, it's logical, it's within the law, because I just told you they have 60 clear days. Go and buy beavers wherever it is. Make sure it works. Make sure it works. Not what Governor Okowa has so elaborately said to you. Right now, it's like a small group of people are sitting somewhere and dictating the fate of this country. You will not have, IREV will not work. We will give you the results to go, amend the results, go to the collation center. When the collation center chairman is ready to review, we give him the IREV figures which we have tallied with the fake results given. This is it. Only early this month, there was natural disaster. There was earthquake in Turkey. The president has sworn to rebuild it. Last year, there was earthquake in South Africa. They are rebuilding. These are natural disasters. Human disasters are when you have one individual destroying the future of hundreds of millions. They are worse than tornadoes, most powerful tornadoes. They are worse than earthquakes. 60,000 people died in Turkey. Remember, 800,000 people were killed in Rwanda. One individual brought Somalia to its knees. One individual brought Iraq, an ancient civilization, to its knees. One individual brought Libya to a sorry state. We have individuals who have amassed wealth and think they can, in the Eagle Square, disgrace citizen number 1, citizen number 2, citizen number 3, because they have millions of dollars to spend on state governors. And they will come out, hold INEC, control the security, control the judiciary. That is why they are telling you go to court. People are afraid to mention courts in civilized societies. The moment you mention court, he will say, okay, what do you want? That is the truth of the matter. We are heading, like I told you, when everything is at stake, and right now everything is at stake. My country is at stake. So I'm ready to deploy everything I can within the Constitution, not to let this happen.
Okay, you can stay there. Let's come this way.
My name is Obina Kalazo. I speak for the Concerned Citizen Society. Yes. Now, sir, coming here, there was a young man we saw carrying a placard naked. He was just wearing a trouser saying his future has been sold by INEC. And I also speak for the women in the marketplace, traders and all that. They trooped out from morning on Saturday till late in the evening. I want you to speak to them, Nigerians that are watching, giving them encouragement how to come out again, because our agreement is we are not accepting this. How can they be trusted? How can they give their trust again to INEC after now? So I want you to talk to them and tell them there is hope somewhere. Thank you.
You want to speak on that? Okay. First, we want to ensure that the process is followed according to the rules of this country. The electorate is very clear. The INEC guidelines are very clear. The constitution of this country is very clear. It is for us to defend the rights of the people. We are not asking for anything unusual. We are asking for the right thing. Nigerians must collectively stand up for their rights. We're here to continue to talk to the conscience of our people, particularly the INEC chairman and those who work with him. And we'll continue to emphasize this and to re-emphasize it. He has a moral obligation to save this nation by doing what is right. That was what he was appointed to do, and that is what he ought to do. Any other thing is wrong, and he cannot continue to play with the future of our children. He cannot continue to play with the future of our mothers. And we call upon him to do what is right. I have said earlier, if the law was forced on him, it's different. He fought for the law along with the civil society organizations, for which we are truly very grateful to our civil society members across this nation. They fought for this, and he was with them all through on this. Why would you go through a fight? And we're all excited. Internationally, the global community was excited that this time we're going to have it right. He traveled overseas, even to Chatham House, to the United States, to speak about a credible election premised on the law that had been put forth. The same man who fought for the law is going against it. We are speaking out to the Nigerian people. We're speaking to all. They want to speak to the conscience of the INEC chairman. And I hope he hears us. Because dignity is important. No matter how much money you have, no matter what you think you are, until you are a man of integrity, having sworn to an oath, he's just but nothing. Thank you. So I just hope that he will save his name. It's already down, but he still has an opportunity to save that name by doing the right thing. And it's very, very clear. In the first instance, I talked about that section of the Electoral Act, and the Electoral Act was all-encompassing. Oath of neutrality. All staff, electoral officers, presiding officers, and returning officers. And he is the chief returning officer, so he's one of those persons. And security officers, taking part in the conduct of an election, shall affirm or swear to an oath of loyalty and neutrality, as in the second schedule. He knows what is right. He has to save Nigeria. It is only when he does what is right that we can be sure that we truly have a nation of our own. It's only when he does what is right that the children of this country, the youth of this country, will realize that there is still hope and that there's a nation, Nigeria, that they can call their own. We appeal to him that he should not dash the hopes of millions of youths in this country, because he will be bringing a curse on himself and his generation. And I don't believe that he ought to do that. He's a man who fought for what was right along with others. There is nothing, no amount of pressure from anybody, no amount of inducement from anybody should cause him to do what is wrong. There is a law very clearly stated in section 64(4)(ab). And going through that, even to that section 64(4), 5, 6, 7, 8, it's very, very clear. He knows what is, I guess he knows what is in the law. He also drew the guidelines in section 38. He just has to keep to what is right. He has to save this nation by causing a cancellation and putting a stop to the further coalition that is going on. That is the only way we can truly secure the future of this nation. And as for Nigerians who are waiting, I believe that Nigerians know what is right to be done. We cannot sit and watch and allow one man or a team of men to destroy the future of this nation.
Real peace is not the absence of violence. It is the presence of justice. We cannot continue to make the job of those destroying Nigeria easy. Each time we come out to tell Nigerians, calm down, let it pass, the more we tell Nigerians to be peaceful, the more the bad elements perfect their instruments and systems of corruption, of constitutional and legal abuses. For how long are we going to continue to do that? In the most advanced democracies, you have human beings chaining themselves to highways because toxic materials are being transported through their territories. This is legal. This is constitutional. This is not violence. Only 2 months ago in Germany, you saw people, environmentalists protesting against coal mines, have stayed there in excess of 6 months until the court ruled against them. The police moved in to remove them from occupying that place. And this is legal. For how long are we going to tell Nigerians, continue to sit down and be cheated? You are being cheated, allow yourselves to be cheated because you're Nigerians. It doesn't make sense. And you, the bad elements, continue to do because Nigerians are going to be patient. Governments have fallen in Africa because of the price of bread went up. The entire Arab world, 11, 12 years ago, went up in crisis because a young man burned himself in broad daylight. Anybody waiting to hear call to arms from ourselves will never hear it. We're peaceful people. He will never hear. Anybody who wishes to change what we are saying, what I am saying, is welcome to try it. I will never call for violence. I will continue to say that democracy belongs to the people who can practice it. Good governance belongs to the people who can demand it. Dividends of democracy belong to those who can take it. It is left for Nigerians to do these things I mentioned. There's nothing unconstitutional, nothing illegal about the gentleman you mentioned on the street and millions joining him. After all, what is being done about the illegality that we spoke about? Right now, to the best that I know, let me tell you that there is 178,606 illegalities committed on 25th February 2023. All the polling units that did not upload to IREV is a legal breach. It's a breach of the Electoral Act. Then there's 8,000 plus criminal acts. Any polling ward or collation officer that violated sections 64, 4, and 5 because it states clearly he or she shall only enter after having verified from the beavers directly transmitted. These are constitutional breaches. These are legal breaches. This is what Nigerians should be after, not about Nigerians demanding their rights. It is not violence. If Nigerians serve notice, come out peacefully, it is not violence. It is not any break. You cannot tell Nigerians to sit down and watch everything go down the drain. This country is too beautiful, is too blessed. I'm sure most of us have lived in other countries and come back to Nigeria because Nigeria is too good. And that is why I said, when all is at stake, as we have now, people like me are ready to deploy all constitutional means to see that we take back our country. I like what Governor Okowa said. The gentleman, Mahmood Yakubu, he is an exalted common civil servant. And this is a technical description I'm giving with due respect. He has no powers to break law. He has no powers to make laws. What INEC chairman has been doing, he has been making laws by deciding to continue with legal breaches. I repeat, what INEC has said is that, yes, we've heard you. The laws have been broken. Please resume your seat. Like they said to Ihedioha. Resume your seat, we've heard you. We are going to continue to break this law until we finish breaking the law and announce a government based on illegality. Then we'll come back to you. And your question, you're asking me that Nigerians should not dress with, we should not come out without a t-shirt, or market women should not, and we should tell them not to? Hell no.
Okay, we are going to take about 2 more questions. Okay, Amaka, we're on queuing now from Arise Television.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good afternoon, my colleagues. My name is Amaka Ude Walker. I report for Arise News. I want to actually appreciate you, gentlemen, for the languages you've used this afternoon, really trying to calm the tension, which is palpable all across the country. But my questions directly to you this afternoon. I have just returned from the APC where they had a presser there. The spokespersons had a presser. And Festus Keyamo in particular says, what your parties are demanding for are alien to the law, and if it goes ahead, that if INEC goes ahead with cancellation like you are demanding, it will result to abortion of democratic practices. I am giving you their exact words this afternoon, and of course we even heard someone said it's even treasonous if the INEC chairman attempts to do that. And this is 2 opposing views. You have yours and they have theirs. And it's up to the INEC chairman who we're waiting for to respond and see which way forward. But my question to you this afternoon is, if he refuses your demand, which is cancellation number 1, aside from his resignation, which you have called for, what next for your parties? That is my question. Thank you.
I listened carefully to the names you mentioned. If Tinubu speaks, if Shetima speaks, we'll respond to them. Governor Okowa and my humble self will never join issues with those people. Then your second question as to what next, I relate what you asked to what the gentleman asked and my long, laborious answers. Nigeria belongs to who? To Nigerians. What did I say about democracy? It belongs to those who can practice it.
Okay, Africa Report, Eniola Akikio too.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, gentlemen. You've asked for the cancellation of result. I want to find out from you, will you be approaching the court to enforce this, or will you be applying for maybe an ex parte order, an interim injunction, or anything like that? Thank you very much.
We have asked for a cancellation of the result because that actually will be the saving grace at this moment for Yakubu Mahmood, who is the chairman of INEC. And we believe that in right conscience, he should do what is right. And we're hoping that in the position that he occupies, and with what efforts he had put in the past, and what he had told Nigerians, what he had told the world over, that he was going to do, he should only do what is right. We are hoping that he will do what is right. And that actually is the right course to do. But if he fails to do that, our options are numerous. We don't have to come to you on that at the moment. We'll let you know as we progress.
You need to understand that the process is still on. Where's the gentleman who asked the question? Oh, I thought he was the one making noise. You need to understand, this process is still on. It becomes legal only after the declaration. And that's why I told you, if INEC chairman said he will review after declaring winner, it's a joke. The moment he declares, only the courts of law can do anything about the election. Remember, we were both in the Senate. We're always advised by legal experts. What they are saying is a joke. He probably doesn't know what he's saying, just like not knowing, never mind that he's a professor. I respect professors. I belong to the ivory tower. Anybody who could make the kind of promises that Dino Melaye played yesterday, only for us to come on Saturday morning and you cannot, then you have no idea what you're saying. He probably has no idea what he's saying that he will review after declaring. He has no idea what he's saying.